Todd Phillips directs the new comedy The Hangover, starring Zach Galifianakis, Ed Helms, and Bradley Cooper as three guys who wake up in a Las Vegas hotel room with some pretty crazy shit.
What happened last night?
Am I missing a tooth?
Oh. Whose baby is that?
Check its collar or something.
What is going on?
I'm Eric from SceneStealers.com, and with us today as my guest host is Trey Hawk, independent filmmaker. And The Hangover, for me, is one of those movies, it's got one of these great premises. I'm surprised that nobody's actually done the rude, vulgar comedy before, because they've already done the Ashton Kutcher, Cameron Diaz, you know, romance, and oh, well, this is going to work out. We got married, and let's stick it out,
sure,
type of thing. But nobody's ever done the rude, vulgar, obnoxious comedy about dudes and wish fulfillment on guys' parts and hookers and crazy shit. And that's what they did in this movie. And what'd you think?
You know, I thought it was interesting. I mean, we've seen ensemble casts of guys, you know, going out there and, you know, each one dealing with a different problem and stuff like that. But, you know, they really just kind of focused in on what they wanted to achieve. They kept the story very simple and to the point, so they had enough time to deal with each of the characters. And so, you know,
simple is good, honestly,
absolutely,
in this movie, because they could have gone way off the rails, and I think they really benefited from the casting.
So, are you sure you're qualified to be taking care of that baby?
What are you talking about? I've found a baby before.
You found a baby before?
Yeah.
Zach Galifianakis, his backstory, he's like the groom, he's the brother-in-law-to-be of the groom, and he does not know these other guys.
Yeah.
And he is kind of a creep, actually. And his deadpan delivery, I think, is really perfect in this movie.
He also plays one of the most sincere and wonderful creeps ever.
So he's got great casting.
Mm-hmm.
He's got a script that starts out awesome. And the thing I love about the beginning of the script is it's a mystery. Mm-hmm. First, it's a flashback, and we see the guys on the side of the road, and they're like, you know, we're not going to make it for the wedding.
Sure.
And you're like, oh my God, what happened? Flashback, let's see what happened. From then on out, it's kind of a little bit, for me, diminishing returns. I think towards the end of the movie, it really runs out of steam because the guys go through one crazy adventure after another trying to figure out what happened.
Right.
But then at the end, you know, it just doesn't pan out for me.
Yeah, it definitely, I mean, it's putting one foot in front of the other in a relatively unsurprising way. And then they have to tie it up very quickly at the end, which I think is a little unfortunate, because there are, you know, some interesting moments, and they allow enough breathing room to where you can really kind of enjoy like just those little vignettes.
There are scenes in this movie that work incredibly well.
Sure.
They're really, really funny and obnoxious. Then it seems like the editor was just like, okay, well, let's move on to the next scene. And all of a sudden, Heather Graham, who plays the prostitute with a heart of gold, is gone. You remember that? Like,
yeah.
She's in the movie for a second when we need her to be, and then she's just gone in the next scene.
Yeah.
For me, it's just a really choppy movie, and I think that The Hangover, with the casting and the idea, could have been a lot better. I wish that somebody besides Todd Phillips would have made this movie. This is the guy who did Old School, Road Trip, Starsky and Hutch. I think he's an adequate filmmaker. I think he gets good performances out of people, but I don't think he can put together a whole movie that's great.
Through a night we'll never forget.
You know, all in all, I mean, this was intended to be a silly, you know, road trip, ensemble cast, funny film. So, you know, I left the theater happy, and that's why I'm going to give it a minor rock fist up.
Giving this a minor rock fist up because Zach Galifianakis is hilarious. We're going to see a lot more of him, I think. And honestly, everybody just comes together in the cast, and it's a funny movie. I just wanted it to be funnier, that's all.
Sure.